All right, I think we're live. Thank everyone for joining another XAFers community stand-up. Today, we're going to be talking about the 24.1 release and all the goodies that came with it. As always, we meet once a month. We have tried to do it first the second Thursday, then the third Thursday, and then we want to at least do it once a month. We just don't want to miss it, but definitely it hasn't been as scheduled as before. Either way, we are today here with a really good one. And we have Dennis Garavsky. He's the XAF PM that he will actually be walking us through everything that has the 24.1 release on the works. As always, join our Facebook group. We are already like 3,600 members. Join our LinkedIn group. Same here, we're more than 3,000 members. Follow XAF on Twitter. That's where we get all the new updates of everything that is coming up. And today we'll be talking about everything that came up in 24.1. There is a lot of great things. Batch edit, exporting server mode, customization form with new fields, tablet MDI support, that's a really good one. And new and simplified way of creating a Blazor property editor and list editor and so on. So before we start, as always, I want Jorge to introduce himself. I know everyone knows Dave to introduce himself, Dennis to introduce themselves, and we'll jump right to everything that we have in store for the meetup.
Okay, so I guess I will start because of the order. So hi, everyone. I guess most of people here know me. My name is Jocho Ojeda. I work for Sari and Bit Frameworks, and basically we do XAF and XPO 24/7. We try to do Entity Framework, but we went back to XPO.
Yeah, I can go next. Dave from Llama Chat Technology. We also live in the world of XPO most of the time, and XAF basically all the time. So yeah, looking forward to what 24 has to offer. Dennis?
All right, Dennis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dennis. I'm a product manager at Garavsky. Happy to see so many people here.
Nice. All right, Dennis, I'm going to stop sharing, so allow you to share your screen.
Okay. Can you see my presentation now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. So today I just wanted to make a top-level overview of our newest major 24.1, and I think, as always, I will start from a gentle reminder, because I think many people forget it, and to be honest, I'm guilty myself, sometimes just jumping to another version without checking upgrade tips or upgrade documentation. And actually, it's very important, and I will just demonstrate how it saves time in action by a few examples. So let's imagine that we just landed on our homepage, garavsky.com, and we forgot about where to look for upgrade instructions. First, we can see this what's new link, of course. We also usually send emails once a new release is coming. And if you scroll to the bottom here, you can see a few helpful links, like supported versions, ID requirements, etc. And here, I just want to scroll down a little bit and show you this section. Here you can see, again, this what's new in 24.1 link, which we'll talk about a bit later. And also, there are a few links for how to say, it's more detailed documentation. This one is just large blocks of features, and this block is about specific issues, breaking changes. let's discover what's inside. So let's imagine that we are doing just XAF. This is XAF Standup at all. Let's uncheck unnecessary stuff. And let's imagine that we are migrating from 23.2 to 24.1.3. So here, by default, we don't have any filters, but we can configure them to reduce the amount of information, because I think not everybody actually practically wants to check each and every of bug fixes. So it's more practical, I think, when you migrate to the new major, is to just start from breaking changes. So I check this filter item, and here we can see a list of reasonable length, which we can check. And I always I hate to sound like a broken record, but this list of breaking changes will really save your time, because it just lists already known issues or contains some migration instructions. Because you know, we are as developers, when we encounter many issues, we naturally start to debug them, look into web browser console, etc. and etc. And time flies fast, and this list will save you some time. For example, let me show you one important breaking change, which I think will affect people who made custom list and property editors in the past. We, by the way, we discussed the same situation with Fochi and Fawcett just prior to this meeting. And this change, it's about API changes in 24.1, which allow you as an XAF developer to reduce the amount of code you write. Actually, it's not only for people who creates custom list and property editors, but also for people who just customize built-in editors. Because the main idea behind this change is to get rid of, or rather hide, some internal UI elements like adapters. To be honest, it was our mistake to expose it in the first place, like 4 years ago. Now we realized it, and we just simplified our code, and you can see that just write less code lines, because instead of accessing an adapter, you just can access your control directly from a property editor or list editor using the component model property. And since this is a serious change, we also have options to get back, to enable the old 23.2 behavior using a feature toggle. But we actually recommend this only temporarily, and you can just use it, enable this temporarily, and try to rework your custom list and property editor code or your controllers just without hire. Okay, and let me close this one. And another interesting item is known issues. It's about currently active bug reports in the current version. And here we can just quickly check this list. It's not so long, and we can just also save time if we experience some unusual behavior in Visual Studio. For example, it's worth noting, for example, this item about problem with record designer. What else? It's also there is also an interesting issue with scripts and styles which are cached by web browser. Let me find it. Yeah, by this one. And I think I will stop on this one a little longer because we saw like already 5 people who experienced this behavior, and I just want to promote a simple workaround is to just refresh your browser using Ctrl F5 to force your browser to obtain scripts and styles from the server again. And also here it's a more robust workaround or solution which we actually implementing in the next version by default. I mean, in XAF solution view. So it's just a couple of real examples of how this list of changes can be helpful for your development. Of course, we also recommend using project converter to update your NuGet packages and assembly references. Some people don't realize that our project converter does both. I mean, not only assembly reference, but packages as well. And I think we're ready to go to the next slide. And before I go, maybe just comments, some questions about your upgrade experience, maybe some suggestions. Hocha, also.
Yeah, no questions so far. There.
Okay. Let's go through our major features quickly and focus on a few interesting things. So, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about cross-platform or cross-product enhancements, such as accessibility enhancements, which affect almost every product at Garavsky. Here you can see that it's about WinForms, WPF, Blazor, reporting, XAF, and even VCL. When we talk about, for example, Blazor components, it's also interesting for XAF developers because, as you know, Blazor relies on Blazor components. The same for DevStream enhancements, because some Blazor components they rely on DevStream components, and also XAF relies on DevStream components. The same goes for reporting. For example, as you know, we had in the past we had a report designer based on JavaScript for Blazor. We still have it for web forms. What else? For example, even for web forms customers, I mean, XAF web forms customers, it's interesting because web forms relies on DevStream map components, file managers, etc. So I just want to know that we as a company we have been focusing on improving accessibility for controls on documentation website, and it's a long-term undertaking, and we hope to complete it in 2025. it's important not only for customers who are making applications for government or public sector, which, as you probably know, they are required to comply with certain accessibility standards. But it's also important for regular users with certain problems. For example, even talking about myself, I'm wearing glasses, and it's important for me to not to have problems like with contrasts, etc. What's next? The next big cross-platform item is part of evolving .NET as a whole. As you probably know, Microsoft made these new types a few years ago, and now they are also default for certain tools and technologies like Entity Framework from the last year. So by default, if you try to generate your entity models from existing database, then data only will be used for SQL Server date type. And of course, it's important to have support for this at component level, starting from database, of course, and for database, there are many scenarios, including client mode, server mode, as you can see here. There are also DStream related scenarios which affect Blazor components as well. There are also many scenarios with filtering. I mean, it's important to teach our, teach our criteria language to understand the new types, to provide new functions like get dates, date difference, etc. So we focused on this a lot in the last release, and this work continues until the end of this year, because not all platforms are covered yet, obviously, not all scenarios. And as always, we are looking forward to your feedback about your requirements, how things are already working today in 24.1, and what is missing. The next item, it's also about, I think, every .NET product we have. It's just, how to say, I can call it like refactoring or cleaning, you know. It's about having less dependencies for our components in the first place. It's also performance and security, of course, because as you know, Microsoft introduced SysText JSON library a few years ago, and it's now used by default in the frameworks like ASP.NET Core, and framework, etc. And in Microsoft JSON, it's a great library. The creator is a very cool guy who made a lot of community for the community, and it's just a matter of fact that this library is used much less than SysText JSON. So it's time to move on. And for us, for you as customers, it's
Ven acá,
just
Azuquita. Entonces, el algo de los voces que me sobraron, yo me lo puedo beber ya.
Sorry, give me just a
sorry?
second. Let me mute.
That was Steven.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
and no problem, no problem. And for you and for us, it's, as I said, it's one less dependency, one less assembly to worry about, because less code, it's more secure. And also there are a few enhancements to our NuGet server. Just usability enhancement, also related to security as you probably know, if you have experience with our online Nuget feed, it's just a URL with some key, auto-generated key, and it's now easy for you to renew this key if it was stolen, not forgotten, but compromised. And also here we provided a lot of documentation updates for our Nuget server again for typical use case scenarios, because as you probably know, Nuget is just getting more popular with modern .NET versions and technologies like Blazor, XAF Blazor, ASP.NET Core in general, including Web API, and desktop technologies based on modern .NET versions. And people just want to use Nuget more with different environments and IDEs, not only Visual Studio, but also Rider, VS Code, etc. And of course, they also build and test their projects, case mainly do. And it's interesting for them to integrate GEXpress packages with GitHub Actions, GitLab, etc. So check it out. Now let's jump to XAF enhancements in this release. And before I talk about Blazor and other cool stuff, just a gentle reminder that we have a survey here. You can click this link, and once you check everything, you test how your application works with the new version. So we have rated opinion. You can just tell us what you think, and we check this feedback. We follow up with customers who leave this feedback. So it's helpful for both parties, obviously, because we noticed that besides just informing us about some problems, some enhancements, people also share their real use case scenarios and current problems, and which can already be addressed today. I mean, for example, a customer forgot how to or didn't know how to implement a certain task, didn't know about certain feature, and feedback in this survey is just a chance for our support team or product managers to follow up with you to give you solutions today without waiting for months for the next release. So check it out. If we talk about the key XAF enhancements, I would personally highlight three things. First of all, it's improvements for our database, and they are starting from batch edit, which I think many of you have been waiting for a year or maybe more, because previously we had only inline edit when you can just edit a single records save explicitly, and now it's much easier because it's like editing data in Excel. It's also, I think, important for customers to get greater customization capabilities. I mean, beyond the standard column chooser button, you can just show hide columns, and you can just and now you can provide or add additional columns exactly as you used to do in WinForms. And it's also quite popular or requested item, and as you know, it's available also for TPL view. The same customization form is available there. And again, this experience is pretty similar to what you can see in WinForms applications, with a few exceptions related, example, to tab customization and a couple more. And also for Blazor, I can't skip target NDI support, which again comes from WinForms. I mean, it just helps you to allocate much more information on your screen, because not everybody likes to use browser or native browser tabs, and it's just more usable. In this release, I just want to make a note that we provided the most basic implementation, and we hope to improve it to the WinForms level in the future. For example, I'm talking about currently we don't have commands to close all tabs at the same time, like in web browser. Also, we disabled the option for restoring tabs for new projects for now, because we wanted to test it more also to cover some advanced scenarios to also improve performance. And also for API side, we can we can expose more APIs to manage this tab control. Just things like that. So it's only the beginning. And it's also nice to see that already customers, they how to say, they started successfully using this feature, and they provided own custom solutions for some missing options, like I mentioned, this close all tabs command. I saw a few customers who just made a custom action, and other customers even made a context menu for this. So it's really cool to see that customers extend the framework and to do what they really need, what their customers need. And the last and most exciting thing for Blazor, for XAF Blazor, I think it's again for me personally at least, it's the simplification of again custom list and property editors. It's exciting for me because because of the feedback we received from our early adopters, solid testers. You can see some of the feedbacks here, and also, of course, and here, for example, I remember this customer, he wanted to try to make a new property editor based on HTML editor control, and he just made it in I think in an hour or so, and it was possible because we provided the infrastructure for customers. I mean, for example, take a look at this new base class, Blazor Property Editor Base. It encapsulates a lot of typical logic that we need in property editors: formatting, value assignment, event handling, etc., etc. And I think for the customer with HTML editor, he just inherited from Blazor Property Editor Base Then he used a predefined model for like DX HTML editor model or something. I don't recall exactly. And it just started to work. So just a few code lines and it started to work. And of course, if you don't trust me, my words, I can also say that we ourselves, we also dog-fooded this feature a lot internally. I mean, I think many of you may remember our application. It's called Outlook Inspired Demo because it was built after our WinForms and WPF counterparts. And this demo, it contains a lot of, just really a lot, custom editors like PDF viewer, maps editor, custom list editors to provide layout view mode, some match detail. So it's really a complex application and pretty similar to what you actually do for your clients. And here I just want to stop a little on the Blazor project. And here you can see these custom editors I mentioned, like chat, for chat, progress bar, etc. And what we did, we just took the old approach and we gradually migrated it to the new one. And during that process, we found some usability issues, we fixed them, found some performance issues, we fixed them. And eventually, again, we made it so that it started to satisfy us. I mean, as developers. And it's really, that's why I like such feature, because you just do it for yourself. I mean, so you want to also the best for yourself, much like you want for the customers. So I definitely recommend you check it out, try to migrate your old code and report any issues. And for us, if we talk about the future, you know that currently XAF Blazor, it doesn't include certain modules like chart module, pivot grid module, maps module, and for us, our long-term vision is to integrate those modules, or at least, either out of the box or at least make very simple integrations. And ideally, we want to get rid of custom editors from this real-life demo, and again, dog food this in process. So definitely wait for our 24.2 release and see how we are doing with this part. I just wanted to stop here a bit more to share some initial considerations, for example, based on our research of integration for charts, for pivot grid module, and for maps. If you are familiar with WinForms and WebForms modules, I mean, charting, pivot grid mapping, you can remember that we had some integration also at the level of application model. I mean, model editor. You can go to model editor and edit some chart settings. You can invoke some designer in Visual Studio, and then these settings are serialized and saved as a string, like XML string. And many settings for pivot grid, for charts, they are reused between platforms. For Blazor platform, it's a bit different. First of all, because, for example, for Blazor charts, we are reusing direct stream JavaScript widgets. So There is no any XML, no Visual Studio designers, nothing. And for Pivot Grid, it's a native Blazor component, but it uses a totally different object model. I mean, internally, so you can just reuse your serialized settings from WinForms or WebForms. You can't reuse them in Blazor. And also from previous feedback, even for WinForms and WebForms modules, we learned that many customers, they are just already happy to make code-based customizations. I mean, for example, to set up a specific chart to just for a specific view to just, for example, add some arguments, specify value fields, or for pivot grid specify pivot grid fields, and I mean, they don't. In many cases, they don't really need a model editor or designer, and but at the same time, it's crucial for them to get data from XAF database, get this data filtered by XAF security rules, and get additional features like dependency injection, etc. And that's why I'm talking about possible ways to integrate pivot grid or charts or maps in XAF using code-based approaches. So because it's again new platform, new requirements, new components. But what we want to change is that we want to make it simple for customers. So not dozens of code lines, just a few code lines like here. Maybe you have some comments or thoughts about this. We can stop for a moment.
Yeah, there are no questions, Dennis, but I do definitely have some comments. Like one thing that we have done extensively is creating property editors and list editors. If you have seen some of the screenshot on our blog about customization in UI, basically we have created property editors for a customer reference property for a vehicle, and then for a list editor for services. And then we actually go on the model and use those property editors and build a really customized UI that looks really modern, but it's actually all property editors. So we did a lot of code for those, and just seeing how simple it is to do it now is definitely a huge improvement. I also want to mention, now that I have a little bit of involvement, the regenerate nugget feed, that's amazing. Like, for example, for me, sometimes I'm doing a presentation or showing something or walking people around, like how to set up the project, how to use DevExpress and so on. And then I expose my nugget feed there on YouTube for a recording. So for me to be able to myself go regenerate it and be done with it, it's just like really, really, really nice. Batch edit is something that a lot of people have been waiting for. So that's also really exciting. Export in server mode. Let me tell you, we have been doing reports in code. So we basically do go and iterate through the grid columns, get the visible columns or the columns that we need, and then create a report and then export that because we didn't have the export in server mode. Now we are removing a lot of code because that is just done for us on the server mode. So just want to say that a lot of great things on this 24.1 release. And everyone, like if you guys have any comment, questions, want to share anything, just put it on the chat and then we'll get to it at the end.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's nice to hear that you recognize this nugget server enhancements, and it's all done for security matters. Yeah, export, it was, how to say, we initially, if you remember, we provided this export function only for client mode, and our motivation was that not everybody, I mean, how to say, if you're using a server mode, you'll have thousands and thousands of records. And for us, it just didn't make much sense to, I mean, to export these thousands to Excel or PDF or whatever, because it's just, I mean, what's next? What you do with that next? And that's why we gradually supported the most popular use case with client mode, and then based on feedback, we iterated, and 24.1 has it.
No, that's amazing. Like, and also a lot of XAFers are migrating for web forms. So they are going from the old legacy web forms up to the Blazor one. So they already have Southbound records on their database. So this is just something that they have been waiting for. So that's all.
Yeah. Since we've finished talking about my top 3 for Blazor, again, it's just my personal preference. I also like other features. I was involved with every all of them, and it's also, for example, native report viewer. It's also nice. There is a small breaking change though, but it's again, we have detailed migration instructions like this is your old code, replace it with new code, some real use case scenarios like if you want to add a new button in report viewers, or how to get it back so you are safe. And that's why I'm promoting it so much, because again, it really saves time, and our tech writers and product managers, they spend a lot of time to think about all possible combinations, scenarios, cover them. And talking about XAF 24.1, I wanted to stop by our Blazor components, because I think not many people realize that you automatically get many new features in XAF from Blazor components, or from DevStream, like I talked about accessibility earlier. And while some features may require you to, write code, others they're just built in. And here you can see, I don't know how many dozens of new components, but it's really a lot. For example, keyboard navigation, it's crucial for fast data entry. So it's helpful for batch editing, combinations batch editing. What else? I already talked about new editors like HTML editor. I also saw a customer who also quickly integrated PDF viewer. We also did it ourselves. Mapping. Just don't forget to check this item on how what's new, and get excited. Also share your feedback to the team. It's a separate team from XAF, and actually you can see also for reporting, they also have a separate watching service, and they are looking forward to your feedback and are ready to help. Well, let's return to XAF for a second, because I wanted to talk about security a little bit more. And I think my favorite enhancement for security in this release is it's about middle tier security server and WinForms applications. Because even though we talk a lot about Blazor, people are still doing WinForms applications. They're still doing WPF applications, and you may not believe me, but they're still also developing VCL applications, like here, just showing. I'm even touching it myself. And for desktop applications, it's just, how to say, in the last years, it's just a change or gradual evolution. In terms of how desktop applications are accessing data because of new security requirements in the world. For example, like 20 years ago, I think I did it, you did it, many of us did it. we just we just created a Windows form, just use the data set and talk directly to your SQL Server or I don't know, my SQL Postgres SQL, and it's just not working today in 2024. I mean, due to stricter security requirements, and for this, it's important to embrace new approaches, new technologies. And when we talk about XAF, we got you covered with our middle tier security server. So basically, it's for you if you are starting a new project. I just launched the new project dialog. Just will show you some options. Maybe you remind me how to hide this panel because I don't use Zoom often. Okay, I hope it's visible. So, for example, I'm creating a new XAF WinForms application. So, for example, I'm using XPO for my data access. And what I do, I just go to options, and I can select this middle tier security. And here you can also see the old mode, which implements the direct database access. You can learn more about these differences. And starting with 24.1, middle tier is just the default option because it's just more secure. And to make it the default, we have to spend the last 2 releases, I think, unless I'm mistaken, 2 releases to optimize middle tier and more. I mean, performance-wise, or stability. And in 24.1, here you can see tremendous performance enhancements. So it's more usable for large applications, for large data or load. And so I definitely recommend you try this option, at least if you are starting a new WinForms application, or if you just want to retrofit your existing WinForms application. What else? What else? We also, I forgot to mention this small thing. Actually, it's not small, it's quite popular use case scenario when you have a data model and you have properties like created by, modified by, etc. And here, again, to improve experience with our middle tier server, we made a few enhancements. First of all, there is a new method. It's called set property value with security bypass. Its difference from, for example, set property value in XPO is that it allows you to execute certain business logic bypassing security rules. This not often required, but still there are some advanced use case scenarios, and you can now you can implement them safely. There are also some requirements why these methods can be called. Like we recommend them using them on SAME most of the time. And here I also want to highlight a few modern approaches, which I think many of you are already using. It's dependency injection. So in old good times for .NET Framework, we just could use some static properties like systems, security system, current username, user type, current user, etc. But now with modern applications, modern architectures like Blazor, Web API Service, you can't use this static helpers anymore. You have to embrace this dependency injection approach. And it's not, how to say, if you are familiar with ASP.NET core development without XAF, it's nothing new for you. Because it's not much overhead actually, because you just have a set of predefined services, and you just request them from service provider and access their properties as normal. And here in our updated documentation, which you can find under application security and data safety, you can see a lot of examples for this typical case scenario. And also there are additional use cases, like for example, like report data source helper. If my memory is not broken, yeah, it's not broken. In the past, you may remember that you use some static helper, but now it's in modern.NET, it just replaced with the service. And for you, it just to change one code line. That's something I wanted to promote because dependency injection, it opens unlimited capabilities in terms of configuring your application. Because actually here we are just showing basic approaches. And in Microsoft Docs you can find more advanced approaches with getting data options from configuration files, etc., etc. So definitely recommend checking this. Any questions so far?
We have two questions. Actually, the first one is basically, you can read it in the meantime, then it's a big one, but basically is if there is a plan to introduce like a AI architecture advisor that can do a full check code since the architecture is complex. I want to just say my 2 cents there and you can expand on it. But there is no .NET app or actually any language or any framework app where we actually can manage the architecture, like giving advice to junior devs how to do it. That's come with training, that comes with checking the code, with reviewing it together with. So there are a lot of different patterns that people implement. So of course we have solid principles. So I think that is a little outside of the XAF scope to actually do an architecture advisor to let you know how to code your own app. I also want to mention that you can do it yourself. You can create your own code analyzers with your best practice, whatever it is for your team, because a lot of time we making a standard for our company that maybe is not exactly the same one for yours, or you use libraries that you build internally and so on. So right there, Juan, I will say is basically not up to the framework, it's up to the team and basically to implement those best practices. But anyone who wants to add their 2 cents, please go for it.
Yeah, thank you. It's difficult for me to add anything. I just want to say that I have the words AI on my next slide. I will expand on it a little bit further. I just want to how to say, I agree with your position. I agree that when we talk about architecture and some code rules, code analyzers is certainly one of the points to consider. As you probably know, we also have code some basic code analyzers for XAF. We enable them also for our internal development. We for demos internal applications, so we also recommend them to our customers. So just a way to catch the most obvious mistakes automatically without, I mean, just automatically. It saves, just saves time. Internally, we for our internal code development, we have a way more diagnostics. I mean, for security, for example, like we can catch specific calls to APIs. We can make sure that some API is not called, and it's very extendable mechanism provided by Microsoft and Roslyn framework in particular. So I highly recommend it. And I also saw many customers, especially large customers, with teams. I mean, teams of developers like 10, 20 who analysis for themselves. And for AI, I think it will be difficult to integrate it for architecture review, not only for XAF, but for any other framework. In the first place, even though XAF is quite opinionated framework like Angular, I mean, we provide some default ways of doing things like use of the space, not session controllers and things like that. There are still many ways to do X, Y, Z, and sometimes you cannot just tell people or developers that Y, Z is not inappropriate, because it can be appropriate in certain scenarios. And I think it's a problem also for teaching AI to develop this understanding, and first it must be done manually. I mean, you must formalize many situations, I think thousands of them, thousands of configurations, and then you can teach your AI helpers. But we'll see. Maybe in 10 years.
Yeah, I also want to mention that we have several tools out there like SonarQube or things like they do, like they scan your code and they give you code smells, so that you can actually like use those reports to refactor or see what you're doing. And with the revolution there is with AI right now, I guarantee that if we do a little bit of a share, there are going to be a few AI tools that right now read your code and start giving you recommendations. So
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Sorry. We are also, by the way, wait, 1 second. Sorry. We're also using tools like static code analysis, like their code. It's similar to what you are using in SonarQube. And I think they already started using, at least embracing AI under the hood for certain scenarios. I mean, certain heuristics, and it's natural way of evolving things. And I can say that it's just not quite ready for prime time. I mean, right now, today. And even when we talk about simpler tasks like answering a question, I mean, on how to do X, Y, Z. I mean, using ChatGPT or copilots. It's important to understand that AI cannot just know everything. I mean, magically know everything. It's taught based on existing public information, and this you specifically feed it to AI using some additional services agents. And currently, if you talk about XAF, we have a lot of thousands and thousands of public documentation topics. We have like 100,000 of support center tickets, and some of these materials they lack context, and it's very easy for AI to invent answers instead of giving the right answer. So it's very difficult for them. Okay, but again, we will see. Let me.
We have another question, Dennis, about the middle tier. Like basically, Gustavo is asking like our experience with the middle tier and how it compares in performance with like no middle tier in SAF deployment.
Yeah, in the past, there were some problems with certain configurations with middle tier, even for XPO and also for framework core. And I definitely recommend you try 24.1 now. I mean, new middle tier for modern.NET, because the old one it's based on VCF. The new one is based on Web API, and we rewrote it from scratch. I mean, we used different serialization libraries. We optimized for typical scenarios, implementation, etc. So it's times faster than it was before. And we just try it, and we will be happy to hear the feedback support center.
We use in all project the middle tier, and I think one of the performance issues that we encountered was when the client had a lot of member permissions. It was taking a long time to respond. But besides that, it was decent. I think that then we switched to the XPO Web API, and then we move it out of window.
Yeah, when I talk about performance issues, it's also important to research each and every specific scenario. For example, the one you mentioned, it's very interesting. For example, imagine you have a role, security role, with like 100 member and object permissions. So for the audience, just to remind you, each member and object permission contains some criteria. Like first name contains X, Y, Z. And in real life, it's of course more complex than that. It also involves some reference properties, collection properties. And when you design a system like this, it's important to also consider the laws of physics. I mean, that we must be realistic, because it's somehow this design, it must be put for real database. It must be data must be transferred over network. We must consider latencies on caching, database optimization. And for database design, and for especially when we use object relational mapping tools like XPO or Indifferent Core, there are also some constraints, I would say, or the laws of physics, that if you try to bombard your SQL server with like hundreds of SQL requests, it will not be fast with XAF or without XAF. So we must consider this and design your system appropriately. For XPO and for Indifferent Core, there are, of course, some recommendations. Some of them are from are available in Microsoft docs. Some of them are available in the Express docs, for example. Yeah, for example, for Indifferent Core, we have this section called performance, where we just describe typical use case scenarios or concepts, which I think everybody knows for XPO. For example, Indifferent has different modes to control how you run the queries. Like you, for example, you have a master object with detail collection, and you can control whether to load detailed data together with the master record or separately, and it all will behave differently in terms of performance. And it's also important to know that it's crucial to test this for real environments which are close to your production environments, for real data, because for each and every situation, the answer can be different. Okay. Any questions?
No,
my last,
that's it. No more questions.
For my last slide, I just wanted to give some general directions for the next release. And as I think many of you expected, and I already touched it myself, we will continue to evolve in XAF Blazor UI in the first place. I mean, to reiterate, we want to integrate popular components like PDF viewer, HTML editor, charts, etc. maps. To name just
I want to mention the new drop-down box is really awesome.
Yeah,
We are always doing new integrations, like new modifying the UI, doing custom components here and there. And I saw like the new drop-down box, and it have a lot of like right now takes a lot of the things that we used to do before. We don't have to do it, manage everything by themselves. So that one is really nice.
yeah. I'm happy that you mentioned it because it's also its integration. It's also in our plans. I mean to rework our lookup property editor, and as I mentioned, we are open to user feedback, and nothing is written in stone. We are considering different options, like I mentioned, code-based approaches, model editor-based approaches, etc. Of course, security also continues to be our focus, I think, forever, like for everybody in the world. And here I'm talking about additional, for example, additional integrations with Microsoft frameworks like ASP.NET Core Identity, because we have some customers who already have existing databases, existing role user permission setups, and they want to try XAF, but currently they need to perform additional steps or certain scenarios even not possible. Entity Framework Core will also want to make you Hoche to how to say to have you happy using it. I mean, so it will be on the same level as Explore. It's just a long-term goal, and of course for other customers. Yeah, I see that you're smiling.
Dennis, one comment that I want to add here regarding multi-tenancy. I think that is the third time we have a client that is playing with multi-tenancy module, and they ask about the forgot password and create user account with the security module that you actually implemented. In that example, they say, hey, how can we integrate it? And then we are like trying to give them solutions and work around, but I just wanted to pass that feedback forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's actually a part of our ASP.NET Core Identity feature I was talking about, because it comes by default with advanced authentication. There are things like forgot or restore password. There are things like multi-factor authentication and more things like that. So it would be nice to have XAF by default. We also continue enhancing accessibility for Blazor and for WinForms and probably even for web forms, but we haven't decided yet. And here we are lucky that we are using GeoExpress UI components, which already support accessibility, and we just need to test and ensure that XAF scenarios are working well, like with custom templates, custom dialogues, etc. And of course, we will continue supporting latest .NET features, latest Visual Studio features. And for example, in 24.2, I must note that .NET 8 and .NET Framework 4.6.2 will be the minimum versions, starting from 24.2. And we hope to support .NET 9 previews in the coming months. They are already supported for our WinForms component, for WPF, and for XAF for, of course. And since we touched this hype topic of AI, I wanted to also to mention a few things. Not sure if you are following our blog posts, but here they are, and I'm showing you just some nice integrations for with AI services, like for tasks like translation, document summary, again, accessibility, even semantic search. This one even from myself. And earlier this year, we showed some AI integrations in CodeRush, like coding by voice, which I think some. And we, of course, we continue exploring this new space, trying and testing things that make most sense with the space components. And there are just there's a set of scenarios which we already prioritized, and we hope to have them integrated by default in 24.2, which will be released hopefully this December. And yeah, we also, if we talk about not only products, but also about services, documentation, we are also exploring ways to improve your experience as a customer. As you search information, as you get answers from our database, from documentation, and there are also some interesting integrations that we've made. So stay tuned for our blog posts. We have this tech AI, if you can make bookmark in your browser if you wish. Well, I think that's it. I'm ready for more questions.
Yeah, we don't have any more questions right now, but anyone, you have a couple more minutes if you want to add them. In the meantime, I just want to mention, when we migrated, I think that I mentioned it just right before starting the meetup to Dennis. Like, we have an HR app that is using the notifications modules to do like a digital world where they put promotions and they put like basically news and so on, and they notify everyone, and that's working really well with 24.1. So I really appreciate that mode. And as we always say, there is no better moment to be a SAF developer than today. Like, things are looking nice, things are looking good. We are like, it's really good. So if you haven't done it, as Dennis mentioned it, put in your to-do list, do the refactor to get the current user ID. So you do it now the right way on Blazor. Depending the injection, I think that Hoche a few years back, like no, a lot of years back, was like not in love with dependency injection, and now we do it in everywhere. So that definitely has made our life easier. As always, support center, we have all the tickets there, and you actually see all the issues that the SAFer community is encountering, and what like the resolution that we're having. That's a really good resource that we are always using. And now that we're talking about AI, definitely follow that tag, but also know that next meetup will be SAF with AI using semantic kernel. Hoche is actually working in a small Udemy course for semantic kernel, so that's another thing that is coming up. So really excited about everything that is happening on SAF on 24.1, and Dennis already talked us a little bit about even the future. So if you guys have any other questions, if not, thanks everyone for joining, and we see you the next month. Hoche, anything you want to add? Dave, anything that you guys want to add?
For me, just about the AI integrations, we have done a lot of tests in the office, and we have a lot of examples that we want to share with the community. Usually those are based on other ideas, like getting SAF data in non-SAF applications. For example, we apply that everywhere with AI now, because we want both systems to communicate. Also, how you can integrate like the streaming of the chat and things like that. So we kind of have a few demos that I consider like really nice. and also the integrations with semantic kernel to do plugins that interact with XAF by talking with them. So that is kind of a really nice example that we have so far, but that will come for the next meetup, like to have the complete set of ideas.
Yeah, I also wanted to say a few words about AI. I personally was excited by Microsoft post in March about smart components from Daniel Roth and Sean Sallerson of Microsoft ASP.NET Core team. And if you saw this post, you may remember they used small language models, and my excitement was because to me AI, it was always something that required a lot of resources. I mean, like you have to have I don't know, modern processor, GPU, a lot of space on your disk. And when I explored this thing myself, I was just, it blew my mind because the models I use, it just like under 20 megabytes, and it's quite powerful. So of course, it's not the latest version of ChatGPT 4, but still it's pretty good for tasks like semantic search, and it's amazing. And I think these small models can be more and more popular because it's easier for you to embed into your application, be it a WinForms application or a server application or Blazor. So it's recommend you testing this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, we also got excited with that, especially like a lot of our like apps has a lot of data entry components. So even that page, smart page, that's a really nice feature. We have a client that does that all the time. So
also we did the small implementations of these core like XAF components in general. Actually, you can see on the tickets of that repo, they don't have the source code available, but they had a repo where you can put the tickets, and like the second ticket is mine, that something didn't work. But we want to go back to that idea of smart SAF property editors, especially for the smart pace. I like a lot of that idea to put unstructured data pasted, and then the model will decide where to put it in the UI. So that's one of the experiments I want to show you like next time.
I also like the
Yeah.
semantic search, that you are actually looking for a category or something and doesn't have to know exactly the word. You can actually imply for the meaning of the word. So that one is a really good one.
I also saw that some customers used it to speed up their development like a Copilot. I mean, I saw a customer, and I even did it myself, like you ask to generate a data model for XP or for HTML course, so you just tell, include like first name, last name, etc. That gives you complete code. For XAF controllers, it's a little bit more difficult because, again, the model has a limitation of the information it has access to. So there can be mistakes, same with without XAF or pure components. Yeah.
I think the next couple of years, that will be amazing in this area. So looking forward to them. All right, everyone,
Yeah.
if there is no more questions, I want to thank Dennis for joining us today. He's always welcome, so please feel free to let us know when you want to present, because we love this type of presentation, and especially when there is some release like this one that it has a lot of great things. It's great to hear from the team itself. And as always, thank you for coming. Next month again, we're gonna do AI, and see you next month.
Thank you for everyone for coming, and thank you for inviting me. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.